What's up, guys? It's Master Joda here, back with another Clash Royale video for you guys. Today we're going to be actually playing a little bit more of a odd deck. This is going to be like a beginner kind of deck and the guide for it. This is actually the deck that got me from about that 2,500 trophy range to around 5,000. And then once you get around that 5,000 trophy range, guys, I would suggest that you kind of find your play style and build a deck and really start trying to max out those troops in a certain kind of play style of a deck. So you can change, and you'll be able to, change that deck around to whatever fits your needs or whatever you need to. But once you hit around that 5,000 trophy range, you do want to start, singling out your play style and trying to find the best deck for you so that you can really max the cards out and find your skill level against those higher level people that you're going to be playing. But up until that point, you don't really have to have the most meta deck. This is a solid deck right here. This will get you pretty far, or something really similar to this. You got your PEKKA, which is a great tank killer. You got your Hog as a win condition. And then you just have a ton of splash damage with the Baby Drag, Dark Prince, Witch, and Wizard. And it's a really solid deck. It's a really fun deck to play. And let's just go ahead and get started with the gameplay. So getting into this first match, guys, we're going against like a minor bait type of deck. Bait is a little tricky with PEKKA sometimes just because PEKKA doesn't do splash damage, so PEKKA can get overwhelmed, which is why we have a bunch of support troops that do splash damage in this deck. So let's see what happens with this matchup. So he starts off with a miner. He's got the swarm units behind it, so this is a little bit of an aggravating push. He's going to get some pretty solid damage, but as you can see, he did blow a lot of elixir with that poison, so we have a huge elixir advantage. So we're just going to take this moment, since we have that about 5 to 6 elixir advantage, to just place a PEKKA in the back on the tower that he already has damage built on, so he won't, he doesn't want to split lane push as much for a tower that he doesn't have any damage on. So we're going to start a huge push. We got the Baby Drag supporting the PEKKA. He goes in with the Goblin Gang there, and we got that Tornado ready to take out that Goblin Gang. And we're going to be able to deal nicely with that Dark Prince. And we get some pretty solid damage on his tower here, guys. We're going to take the damage advantage. And we also still have that elixir advantage. So he's going to, go in with the miner push again. We're just going to ignore the miner and arrows that swarm behind the miner because that's what's going to do a majority of the damage in that situation. He evens out the damage pretty much, but I do have a 2 to 3 elixir advantage, so we're in a pretty good position here. With this deck, guys, you're going to want to wait to go super aggressive only if they've completely overextended themselves like that guy did in that first push, or when you get to double elixir, guys. This is a double elixir heavy deck. I think it's a 4.4 average elixir cost, which is really heavy. But once you get into that double elixir or near the double elixir range, you're going to really start pushing the pace on your opponent and be able to, build up some massive pushes, some PEKKA Hog pushes. So right here, I've got the Wizard behind my PEKKA, supporting that. And as you can see, he had to waste his bomb tower to defend that PEKKA, and we were able to get that Hog right to the tower and the Wizard and take out that. I messed up my Tornado here, guys. Wasn't able to protect my Witch from that Dark Prince, but wasn't too big of a deal, but that was a mistake. We are going to be able to just defend and kind of coast out to the end of the match. He still has about 1,000 damage left to go on that tower, and he's not going to be able to get it just because of the solid defense we have with this deck. Look at all that bait that just gets, wiped out by arrows. That was like a 5 to 7 elixir trade for him right there. So really bad transaction for him. The arrows have great value. We're going to Witch just to catch that miner whenever he goes in for it. We know he has to right here. And we're just going to be able to defend till the end of the game. And he ran out of time. So that's a GG's for the first one. So let's get ready for the next one, guys. So in this matchup we got right here, guys, we're going to be facing a Golem deck. And Golem is a very aggravating card to play, especially for beginners if you don't know how to handle it. The great thing about this deck, guys, is PEKKA is one of Golem's hardest counters. PEKKA does great into beatdown, and for those early stages especially, you're going to be able to deal really nicely with those giant pushes, those golem pushes, electro giant, whatever you're facing. That's a beatdown type deck. PEKKA just does great into those matchups. I think this guy is going to have lightning. Yeah, he's going to have lightning in his deck, and that can be a little tricky because lightning is a great answer for things such as wizard, witch, baby dragon. But you're not going to have to worry about that too much in early stages because people don't use lightning a lot, and the people who do use lightning, they're not super proficient with it. So let's see how I deal with this push. Not going to be that hard of a push. The opponent's a little frustrated because he sees we have PEKKA and a lot of splash damage. He overextends himself there with that lightning, guys, and I realized that. I had a big elixir advantage on him, but he has tornado, unfortunately, dealing with that hog nicely. But I go in with that Dark Prince right there at the bridge, and as you see, he only had 2 elixir to spend for it, so he had to drop a bomber, which was not the best answer for it, and we got the damage advantage back with that push. So going to drop a baby dragon, make sure he doesn't get any extra damage on our tower there. He's going to have to respond to that unless he wants to take about 1,000 damage. And now we are about even on elixir, and I have about a 400 damage advantage on the tower. So we're nearing double elixir, guys, and that's when my deck gets stronger, but that's also when beatdown decks like this guy's playing, they get a lot stronger during double elixir because they can just build up extremely huge pushes, guys. So let's see some of the defensive sequences that happen coming up into double elixir time. One mistake that you can make, guys, if you're playing something like beatdown with, if you're using PEKKA, is placing your PEKKA preemptively before they go in with their golem. Like if I would have placed PEKKA in the back right there on the right lane, he could have just completely ignored that and built up a push in the left lane, and I wouldn't have had my PEKKA to deal with his push. So that's one mistake that you don't want to make. I think I actually do make that mistake later on in the video, but luckily I wasn't punished super hard for it. But a good player, if you go ahead and preemptively place that PEKKA, he's going to be able to punish you really hard in the opposite lane, and you're not going to have a good answer for it. So we're going to get some chip damage on the tower there, take out his bomber, defend this mini PEKKA with the Dark Prince. It's going to be a good answer for it. He's going to have to answer this Dark Prince because the Dark Prince will charge. Okay, he puts a Mega Minion for that. See, right there, guys, that was a mess up. I should have placed my splash damage in the back and waited until he dropped that gold and placed that PEKKA, but luckily he didn't go in opposite lane on me, and we are still going to be able to defend this quite nicely. As you can see, I placed my baby drag and my wizard high right there, guys, because if you place it high, he's going to have to choose between, okay, do I want tower damage with the lightning, or do I want maximum troop value with the lightning? So I placed that defense kind of high because I didn't want him to be able to kill my wizard and other troops and also get, 400 to 500 damage on my tower there. I realized that lightning that he just used in that situation was a little aggressive, and he just used his tornado not too long ago. So I just go really aggressive here at the bridge with a PEKKA hog, and I get a hog hit, and he still has nothing to do with that PEKKA, and that PEKKA is going to be able to end the game for me. So guys, you're going to be able to go really aggressive when your opponent overextends himself, and that's what I realized there. So getting into this next game, we're going against another bait type matchup. These matchups can be really aggravating, and this guy has Inferno Tower, so this can be extra aggravating to go against, guys, because Inferno Tower is a great answer to PEKKA, and you don't have a reset like a Zap or E-Wiz in this deck that we're playing, so that can be kind of aggravating. The good thing about it is, in a lot of these situations, he's going to either drop the Inferno Tower on your PEKKA or your Hog, and then whichever one you haven't dropped yet, you can drop at that moment, and he won't have his Inferno Tower back in cycle for either the PEKKA or the Hog. So you just kind of got to bait out that Inferno Tower a little bit and get ready for whenever he uses it, and then you can, if he blows it on your PEKKA or something like that, you're going to be able to go in with the Hog then. So we got the Skeleton Barrel and the Princess coming in right here. You're going to be able to defend that quite nicely with the Wizard and the Tornado. And now that since we've got the Wizard coming at the bridge, we can counter push with the Hog. So he's going to have a pretty good answer for that. Inferno Tower and I think a Knight. Yep. So let's see what happens here. I believe he goes in with a goblin barrel. I'm not positive. Yep. So we're going to have arrows for that nicely. You're going to want to save your arrows for either the goblin barrel if you really just can't afford damage on your tower, or guys, if he doesn't have the Inferno Tower in cycle and he tries to answer your hog, say with a skeleton army, which is a really good answer for Hog Rider, you're going to want those arrows to be hovering over his tower and get ready for that skeleton army. So then, right as soon as he drops the skeleton army, you got the arrows ready for it, and you're going to get a massive amount of damage with your hog. So as you can see right here, I believe he's going to go in with a skeleton army. So, okay. So I NATO'd that immediately, guys. So if you see, I was able to NATO that skeleton army, and he wasn't ready for it. So I got about 1,000 damage on his tower with that witch. I knew he was going to drop the skeleton army, and we were ready for it with that tornado. In this type of deck, you can kind of use the tornado. It's very similar to the arrows. You know, because the skeleton army is going to be dealt with the tornado just as well as with the arrows. Tornado is a great answer for those bait type units. We got about a 600 damage advantage on them right here. We're just going to place a witch in the back, get ready for that push he's about to do. Place a dark prince to shield that dark goblin, and we're going to be able to deal quite nicely with this. Let's see what happens here. Okay, he's got a lot of princesses stacking up on me, which is getting kind of aggravating, so I just decided to go ahead and tornado that with the wizard. And guys, with this deck, in most situations, you're going to want to combo that tornado with either the witch, wizard, or the baby dragon. I mean, you can use the tornado like naked without a supporting troop with it, and it's still a solid card. But tornado is going to be much more effective when you have something to splash damage with it. And as you can see right there, guys, he didn't have that Inferno Tower in cycle. I knew that. And he dropped that skeleton army. He thought he was going to be able to defend with the skeleton army, but I had the arrows ready for him, and the Hog Rider finished that game off. So let's get ready for the next one, guys. This is going to be another Golem matchup here, and let's see what happens. If the opponent is not making a first play and you don't really feel like waiting for 2 minutes until a double elixir time, you can go ahead and go in with that arrows on the tower, cycling arrows. But the thing that sucked for me right there is right as soon as I cycled my arrows, he cycled a card in the back, so it was like a -3 elixir trade for me. Luckily, we were able to handle his push with the Dark Prince and the Wizard there, so not too big of a deal. Get a little chip on the tower with the Wizard there, and he is going to go in with the Night Witch. At this point, I kind of realized that I'm playing Golem again, and that's one thing, guys, that you need to try and get better at doing is recognizing decks that you're going up against. It's going to be a little bit harder in the lower level gameplay because decks are so random at, you know, that 2,000 to 5,000 trophy range. But once you get to the higher level, you're going to want to start kind of trying to recognize decks that you're going against. So that pick is going to be able to deal nicely with that Golem there. And since we got a pretty big counter push going, we're going to drop that Hog Rider and try and get some tower damage there. Our P.E.K.K.A is going to deal nicely with that mini P.E.K.K.A. And again, just like that first Golem matchup that I showed you guys, he overextended himself, and I knew he didn't have... his mini P.E.K.K.A, which is a good answer for the Dark Prince, had just been killed by the P.E.K.K.A, and he had already used his Tornado. So I knew that he didn't have a great answer for that Dark Prince, and just like that first Golem game that we saw, I was able to get a massive amount of damage on his tower with that Dark Prince right there. So we didn't have our P.E.K.K.A in cycle right here, guys, so we're just going to go with a Wizard in the back, and I think a Baby Drag or a Witch in the back as well. Yeah, a Witch in the back, and we're going to get ready for this Golem push. He's going to get a nice lightning there, but not too big of a deal. We're going to be able to deal with this push quite nicely. He's going to drop a mini P.E.K.K.A to try and kill that P.E.K.K.A. And guys, you see right as soon as that mini P.E.K.K.A was about to get to my tower, I have the Baby Dragon, which is a splash troop, dealing with that nicely with that Tornado combo. And Tornado is just a great defensive tool that no matter what stage of the game you're in, you can always get better with Tornado. And you're going to need to get good with Tornado, whatever playstyle you play. Tornado is just a staple card. It's been meta for just so many seasons now, and you're going to be needing to get good with Tornado because it's just one of the best cards in the game. It's been one of the best cards in the game for a while now. So right here, guys, this is a little bit tricky of a situation. He outcycled our PEKKA, and we don't have the best answer for his golem here. We're going to spread, if you see, we spread out our wizard from our baby dragon, so he wasn't able to hit the baby dragon and the wizard there with his lightning. And that's one thing you guys need to learn how to do if you're playing someone that's good with lightning. You don't want to stack up all your squishy troops that get taken out by lightning easily. You're going to want to kind of try and spread them out, but still in a position to where they can defend nicely. So that's something you're going to have to learn to do. He goes in with the lightning there. Not that good of a lightning on his part. It was kind of wasted a little bit. I don't even think he killed anything with it. So he just overextended really hard there. And we're going to get some nice damage on his tower there. Only 450 tower damage. And we get 2 more witch hits. So yeah, the arrows are going to be able to finish that game off. And that is going to be all the gameplay for this video, guys. Yeah, guys, when they overextend themselves, you're going to need to be able to pick up on that. Kind of, I don't know if you've heard the term elixir counting, but you don't have to count it to an exact science, but you're going to kind of need to keep up with the opponents. If they have an elixir advantage on you, you're definitely not going to want to go aggressive. But if you have just a massive elixir advantage on them and they've just blown their counters, like that guy just blew his lightning and his, I believe, his mini PEKKA. So I knew he didn't have a good answer for that Hog Rider that was coming his way. So the Hog Rider was able to get 2 or 3 hits. And then just because he had overextended himself so much, that witch was able to lock onto that tower for those extra 2 hits that I needed. And I think arrows do about 150 damage. So I was able to finish the game off with the arrows. So yeah, guys, with this deck, again, you're going to want to wait till double elixir most of the time. If you're going to go in with a push in single elixir, it's either just going to be like a naked Hog Rider, so just a Hog Rider by itself to try and get some chip damage or see what answers he has for it. Or just a big counter push, like if your opponent overextends himself in single elixir and you just wreck his push with a PEKKA and your PEKKA's still almost full health or half health even, you're going to be able to build up some pretty big pushes in single elixir off of your defense, off of that counter push. So you can really punish your opponent if they overextend themselves in single elixir. The last thing, guys, that we want to recap on is the tornado and the arrows combination. So you have the wizard, the witch. You're going to want to synergize that tornado with those splash troops most of the time. There are sometimes, say, for example, if you don't have your arrows in hand and they drop a skeleton army or something like that, you're going to be able to deal with that skeleton army very nicely with the tornado, just like you would be able to with the arrows. So, yeah, guys, just a really fun deck, a really solid deck for that early trophy stage. It'll be able to push you pretty far, and it's just a really aggravating deck for early players to play against, and it's really good into those aggravating beatdown decks. It's really good into swarm decks. I know you guys play a ton of swarm in those early trophy ranges, aggravating spawner decks like that. This deck is just great for that kind of stuff. If you enjoyed the content, guys, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to be notified when my next video is. I post every day. I'm going to be trying to post every day around 2 to 3 o'clock Eastern time. And I hope you guys enjoyed the content.